Luke Thomas for MMA Fighting here next to famed MMA coach Greg Jackson at the UFC 145 pre-fight workouts. Greg, I appreciate your time. I have to say, it was kind of an interesting comment yesterday from, I think it was Jon, who said this whole process has been so exhausting that it's been therapeutic. Do you share that opinion?
Yeah, I think much more therapeutic for Jon than for me, but, I'm glad to hear Jon say that. That's a good thing. I think that if you kind of talk everything out, even if it's in the media, then it gets talked out, and that's a good thing.
How was it dealing with, I don't know, I don't want to over dramatize it, but character assassination that you've kind of had to deal with a little bit here. Did you expect this level of vitriol?
I didn't expect this level, but character assassination is nothing new for me, I guess. I've been, a lot of people are when you're in any kind of limelight, a lot of people love you, a lot of people hate you. So it was a little more personal this time, but, it's kind of par for the course.
On the flip side, though, is there anything left to criticize? Is there anything? They'd have to get really sort of petty for the next go-round. I feel like in a sense, you've kind of immunized yourself, right?
Well, in a sense. They'll get petty, though. Trust me. It'll happen. But it's much more of a... I feel confident and comfortable with my guys and with the people that support me, and so I've always immunized from it because I have so many people around me that love me so much and support me that it feels good and kind of stops all that stuff at the door.
Where is Keith Jardine in this whole process? I know he's got his own gym, I believe, in Albuquerque, if that's not mistaken. Has he, I don't know if taken aside is the word, has he voiced an opinion about it?
No, he's basically stepped out like I do when most of our guys fight each other, so he's stepped out and kind of stayed neutral and hasn't gone on one side or the other.
All right, so let's talk tactics, because to me this fight's getting lost, frankly, in all the hoopla, but it's really tactically an interesting battle. One thing before we get just to the tactics, though, it was not suggested, but at least Jon Jones expressed doubt maybe about Rashad Evans not being in his prime. But Rich Franklin once told me, he's like, I'm not in my prime, but I'm not sure that really is going to determine whether I win or lose. What is your feeling about Rashad's prime or lack thereof?
I think he looks faster and better than ever, so I don't go in ever. You don't want to have presupposed notions about what your opponent is doing or not doing. You can't control any of that. All you can control is what you can do. So in his prime, out of his prime doesn't really matter. I personally don't believe he's out of his prime, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the tactics that you use and how you perform that evening, and then that's what you can control. So all that stuff's pretty irrelevant to me.
This wrestling battle, is it going to be folk style versus Greco-Roman? I know Jon Jones has a folk style background too, but really has been much more inclined to use Greco-Roman. But with Rashad Evans, he's great at throwing the 1-2 hitting the level change, very fast level changer, loves the double leg. In your mind, how do these two wrestling styles, how are they similar and how are they different?
Well, it's MMA wrestling, both of them, and I think there are some similarities and differences, but I think it's mostly the geometry of their body types that allow them or disallow them to do certain techniques. Rashad shoots in very well because he's a little shorter. Jon likes foot sweeps and stuff because he's a little taller. So outside of the body plan, so to speak, it's MMA wrestling. It's a little different, but kind of all mixed together.
All right, talk to me about his body size. He looked noticeably larger even since UFC 135, and he was bigger since the last time I'd seen him then. How are you managing it so where you understand the growth and maximize it but don't get overwhelmed by it or sort of overreach and try to put too much muscle on him or try to push him physically too much? How are you manicuring that process?
Well, that's a good question. I always say it's like playing jazz. You got to know when to push, when to pull, and when to explode, and when to pull back a little bit. And so a lot of it is just making sure that we manage how, because he's still growing, he's still getting bigger. So just managing that and understanding how to cut and when to start cutting has been a big factor.
Have you ever had to do this with another fighter? Somebody, obviously Jones is unique in his own ways, but somebody who came in with ability, but their physical growth sort of caught up with that. Is that a first for you or somebody else along?
No, I've been doing it 18 years. It's happened many times.
Is he different anyways? Like, is he a unique? Well, how's he unique?
He's definitely unique because he brings in a creative intelligence, abilities and stuff that nobody else has. Georges St. Pierre, I guess, would be the closest guy. They're kind of the same. But those two guys are very special, and there are a bunch of guys kind of getting to that level at the gym right now, but those are the two that are there.
He said something really interesting, and I think it might be true, actually, that for all his abilities, he's got great kicks and wrestling and all that stuff. He's got an underrated fight IQ, his ability to make good decisions throughout the course of a fight. You're nodding your head. Why is his fight IQ underrated?
I think he's just so overwhelming that people look for at all these reasons. You know, it's when you're a big fan of the sport, especially when you're an intellectual fan, you constantly look for reasons why. And so I think that sometimes you forget something as simple as a fight IQ. Making the right decisions at the right time has a large impact on it. Whereas, the way he moves his hip when he turns over his leg kick might not be as important as when and where to do it.
How relieved are you just to put this whole process behind you and move on to the next opponent and the next fighter or whoever the case may be? Are you just really excited about getting this thing over with?
Yeah, it'd be nice to put it behind me. In a sense, it's been a big deal because of the personal relationships, and in a sense, it's another week. You know what I mean? I'm here every week. I fight. I was just in Sweden a week before. I was somewhere else. A week before, I was somewhere else. It's every week. So, part of it's in the office. It's just this one was kind of personal.
And the last question before I let you go, I appreciate your time. Jon Jones said, I asked him, could you do this again? Could you go through another fight camp where you had this much exhaustion in terms of media and going back and forth and insulting your opponent? He said, I could do it again. Could you do it again, Greg?
Not only can I do it again, I am going to do it again. I guarantee you I'll be standing here for a long time.
All right, Greg Jackson, best of luck to you and Jon Jones on Saturday night. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.